Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
It's Ed Cohen. This is Global TV Talk Show, a service of globalbusinessnews.net. Go and check it out. Our site's been active since '03, and Google Analytics has been tracking it. And so they say, if you can believe all that, 1.2 million reader page views since then. That's about 65% North America, about 20% Europe, about 8 or 10% Asia Pacific, that big vast area, and the rest, Middle East, Africa, Latin America. Our biggest is in Latin America is Brazil. Mexico's close second. We're working on growing that. So today's broadcast is all about SAMEER. SAMEER, welcome, and professional immigration. So why don't you briefly introduce yourself the way you want to be introduced, and talk about your new venture, immigration law firm, and very briefly, what makes it special?
Sure. No, thanks, Ed. Great to be here, by the way. It's great to see your face after so long. Since we've had the pandemic, haven't been able to attend your events and kind of travel around the country and kind of follow you around the world. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
So I have been an immigration lawyer, as you know, for more than 17 years now. It doesn't seem that long, but as you had mentioned earlier, the gray hairs on my head and my face can attest to that. And it's been, quite the 17 years. It's been a really amazing experience, having worked for a few firms, including one that you know well. I recently started my own firm about 2 years ago, and it's been an absolute blast working with all sorts of different companies, investors, entrepreneurs, domestic and global immigration. I'm having a great time, despite the fact that it's been a very trying year, both from the COVID perspective and just from the immigration perspective in general. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about business, but it's politics, and your business is immigration, and that's politics. So more than it should be. But
Right.
so the Trump presidency has accelerated so many things, and thankfully that's passing. But we still have to deal with stuff. So the urgency and COVID and doing things electronically and innovation and reinventing old ways. Isn't that what you're into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've kind of been into that for many years. But the way, immigration as a kind of a system of rules hasn't innovated in a long time, right? We've had the same set of rules for 30 or 40 years, which sounds incredible if you think about how much our economy and how much the world has changed in that time. So that being said, it's kind of on us, right, as immigration providers, or on us as companies and mobility and immigration programs to figure out how to respond to all the changes that are occurring in immigration, right? And how can we kind of make it easier on the foreign nationals? How can we make it easier on our businesses, cost effective, streamlined? All of these different things are changing, especially over the course of the last 5 years, and especially as it relates to immigration technology. I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a huge kind of growth spurt in immigration tech, especially the last 4 or 5 years. And there's so many different ways now providers have responded to the different needs of the immigration community. It's been really remarkable. And even venture capital has been involved in it. So it's kind of exciting, and love to talk more about it if that's something you find interesting.
I do. But first of all, I want to ask you about the Senate bill that you mentioned to me. What's that about, and why is it interesting to you?
So this is a bill. It's been kind of existed in this just general form for at least a couple of years, if not longer. And it's kind of a Band-Aid to, once again, our kind of original set of rules, which sets a green card quota. Like the original rule set a green card quota for those that are being sponsored by companies every year, right? And you're only allowed to, or the government is saying we're only allowed to admit a certain number of people from each country, right? So the idea was to kind of keep it kind of fair and diverse and fair kind of across all different kinds of countries of origin. But as we know, the countries with the most number of applications by far are India and China, because that's where, that's where most of our tech talent comes from. Not all, but most of it, right? So we've seen a huge number of applications coming from those countries. And so as a result, since only the same number of people are allowed from each country every year, the lines for India and China are longer than any other country. So, I mean, in my opinion, it'd be much better just to kind of increase the overall quota, right, to reflect the real need of companies. But what the Senate bill does is kind of a Band-Aid, which, I guess from some perspectives, it's better than nothing, which is to do away with the per country limitation, right? And make it just a quota for everybody. So what that would do, it would substantially decrease the lines for Indian and to some extent Chinese applicants. It would substantially increase the lines for employees from other countries. So as you can imagine, it's highly controversial. But what's most incredible is that this rule passed the Senate. We haven't seen anything come out of the Senate that's been, pro-immigration in any sense for years. So the fact that it did, I think, is at least some promising news.
So I am mentally, I'm not a lawyer, but I follow what's going on. And I would think that it's to the country's benefit economically to open up to anyone who will qualify legal immigration, open up for people who will qualify for tech jobs. And it's okay to put some circumstances because you can't undercut everybody else. You got to play the game and you got to play the rules. And they have to, I would think, in return for opening up, just think of the cash flow. Just think of the investments. Think of the new companies or innovations or the competition, the race, not to the bottom, but to make things better and more innovative and faster and more secure and smarter. What is preventing? What kind of language should be inserted to protect the people who are worried about this kind of a thing?
That's it. Wow. We only have 20 minutes today, right? I can go on for hours on this.
Well, come back again next week.
I mean, I think, and you've heard me talk about this ad nauseum. I mean, there's studies after studies show kind of like the real economic impact of immigrant talent on our kind of business community, right? For example, half of all founders of unicorn, billion-dollar valuation companies are foreign nationals. And there's even a second order effect. Even the ones that are not founding companies, the inclusion of kind of immigrant talent to the H-1B pool has been shown through studies to kind of change the way companies develop and iterate on their own products, right? And so it's not just like the founding of companies, but second order product innovations, even within companies, are highly impacted by the H-1B community. And there's no doubt, just based on studies we've seen across the board, that this is the case. The problem is it's all optics, sound bites, and perception, right? From those primarily in the Senate, from those parts, from those politicians in those parts of the countries that don't necessarily understand or see this or are threatened by it. And this is not just an American thing, right? This is across the world. This is a human nature thing, right? So, wow, what should we do? What kind of rules should we put in place to kind of address those fears? I really think it has to do with kind of how we characterize, the names of the rules. You can see that we can persuade people just by how we title rule, how we call it, right? So whatever that may be, like ensuring U.S. innovation, protecting U.S. jobs for the future, even if it has kind of language in it that actually helps immigration. It's true. The whole point is we want to, protect the U.S. economy for the future. So it has to do with marketing, and that really would take, I think, a lot of cooperation from the powers that be to kind of coalesce over this. And I don't see that happening anytime soon, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and show some of our advertisers and commercials. They make this thing happen. And when we come back, I want to talk with you and ask you your opinion and guidance, impact of the pandemic, and the vaccinations now underway. Well, today is December 10, 2020 here in the US. It's already underway in other countries and just beginning officially, just beginning here in the US. How is that going to impact? So when we come back from our short break, we'll just take 3.5 minutes or so. And now a word from our co-sponsors. Our programs wouldn't happen without the wonderful support of our advertisers. Here they are.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
Cube Monk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind, with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Hi, my name is Christine. I'm a nurse from the Philippines, and I got to know IAS through Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. And I want to thank IAS, especially to Matthew, for helping me get my car stress-free, headache-free. And so I just want to show you the car that I got. So it's a RAV4 XLE 2020.
As an expat moving to the USA, relocating is exciting, but it can also be stressful. Getting a car, truck, or SUV for personal transportation is usually a high priority. That's where International Auto Source comes in. We make getting the vehicle you want for your work assignment or academic program easy, so you're ready to drive when you arrive. Our product specialists have helped over 50,000 expatriates with their personal transportation needs, making us the largest international auto retailer in the world. International Auto Source gives you flexible payment options to buy, lease, or rent a vehicle from the world's leading auto brands, arrange financing on a purchase or lease without a U.S. credit history, social security number, or driving record, get full insurance coverage, and get approved easily through our low-rate factory-backed financing programs. And because we're an authorized distributor of the world's leading automotive brands, our no-haggle prices are competitive, and the buying experience is hassle-free. We'll even guarantee your new vehicle will be ready the day you arrive. With over 20 years of experience in the global community, we are the vehicle experts for expats. We are International Auto Source.
So Sameer, welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us. The impact of the pandemic. Now we know that the virus is apparently mutating. And the vaccines that were put together to begin with are needing to be updated. Apparently, the second dose and maybe even a third dose.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I'm not a medical guy, but I'm not a lawyer either. But what's the impact of the pandemic on your business?
Yeah, well, it's very similar to just the impact on the business of immigration law from the Trump administration. The conception is that, oh, it must be hurting business because people are not traveling, right? But immigration is so much more than just traveling, right? We have hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million people here in this country on visas, right? They're already here. And they have issues that are caused by, these life changes or rule changes. And so the impact on our business has been how to kind of pivot from processing, paperwork and applications and answering the run-of-the-mill questions to helping our clients navigate through all these processes, right? And so suddenly we have to become experts in the kind of quarantine rules of various countries, in the ever-shifting kind of approaches of U.S. consulates and embassies around the world, right? And really be empathetic to the plight of people that are going through this. I mean, we always should be empathetic, but even more so now, because what's happening is that, not only do you have the pandemic, but you have visa bans, right? That predated the pandemic, honestly, or are using the pandemic as a justification for their existence, right? So you have people that are separated from family. You have employees here. Let's say you have I'm just going to say Facebook or Google. You have an employee here whose spouse is in India, for example, and they can't see each other because the government won't allow the spouse to get a visa to come here. Or if the employee were to leave and go to India to visit his spouse or her spouse, they can't get a visa to come back, right? the company can't afford for the employee to be in that country and work from there because I mean we have work from anywhere, right? But as you know, companies can't afford to have their employees relocate and resettle in other countries. That creates permanent establishment tax issues, for the company. So we have family separation of a kind that's not really being discussed, or it's certainly acknowledged, but it's not really noticed, right? But it's happening to a lot of people, and so. A lot of our job is just to be able to give our clients as much information as possible so that they can at least make a plan, right? Because they don't even feel like they have the information. So not only are they separated, but they feel like they don't know what's going on. They don't know what their options are. It's causing a great deal of stress in the community. And by extension to companies, right? Because it's affecting their work.
Are you tied in with any psychiatrists or social workers? Because it sounds like a lot of your time is trying to help people through a personal, terrible predicament.
I think I clearly don't have any credentials from a psychology perspective, certainly aside from that which I'm just kind of inherently interested in as a human being, right? And I think we all are to some extent in how our minds work and whatever psychological kind of mental health issues we all go through, our family goes through. But that's all that, we have to rely on, really, just kind of our common sense and our, just kind of caring for people. It doesn't take much. It really just takes be there for somebody,
Can it take a presidential executive order called the Mental Health Immigration Bill? Pretty good idea, I think.
I think look, companies could really stand to start, instituting programs like this for their foreign nationals. You don't have to call it a mental health thing, but you can't understand the level of stress that employees are going through right now from the immigration perspective. And if they were to somehow find ways to can provide more access to information, and I'm just talking about like websites or intranets or kind of resources. I'm talking about face-to-face access to experts and to people that can give them real answers. That actually goes a long way to alleviating a lot of the stress, even if there aren't any real answers. The fact that they're able to talk to somebody instead of going on to Google or just doing web searches and not really knowing if what they're seeing is true, it really helps.
So we're running out of time today, and I certainly invite you to come back and let's go deeper. And next time, I think I'll bring on one of my clients who's a psychiatrist, but in a business way, and we can add some gravitas to this discussion. So how do people get in touch with you, Sameer?
Sure. So my law firm is called Banyan, like the banyan tree. That's so pervasive in Hawaii, here in the U.S., and in other parts of the world. I can be reached at Banyan, BANYAN.law, and that's my email address.
Oh, cool. I happen to be working from anywhere today. I'm in our condo in Maui.
Oh, nice.
And you can see it's my business attire, and the palm trees are right out there, but you can't see them.
Oh, I wish you could just switch your camera and just give me a taste of that Pacific Ocean right now. And I mentioned my website, which is banyan.law. My email is sameer@banyan.law. And I was motivated and kind of inspired by the famous banyan tree in Lahaina. So
that's it. It's just about 5 miles from
here.
Yeah. I'm on the coast, just north of Kaanapali.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's cool. So, well, Sameer, thank you for being on Global TV Talk Show. It's really an honor for me to host you, and I want you to come back again, and let's do a deep dive.
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks, Ed. It was great chatting with you.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.